The Veridian cruiser, sleek and angular, drifted silently through the void near the derelict human vessel discovered in the uncharted sector of the Ryloth expanse. Commander Velkin stood on the observation bridge, his emerald eyes fixed on the ancient ship's cold silhouette, its hull scarred by time and cosmic debris. The Veridian Council had dispatched the cruiser with a straightforward directive: retrieve any salvageable technology, assess the human threat, and report. The humans, long presumed extinct or dormant, were considered an obsolete species, their once formidable empire reduced to myth. Velkin's confidence was unshaken. The Veridian had mastered neural synchronization, quantum propulsion, and bioadaptive armor, technologies far surpassing anything the humans were credited with. Their scanners detected no active life signs within the vessel, only a single cryogenic pod intact in the central chamber. The pod's design was primitive, archaic even, reinforcing the belief that this human was a relic from a bygone era, a fossil preserved in stasis. Valrex, the ship's lead scientist, approached Velkin with a data tablet. "Commander, the cryogenic field remains stable. The occupant's vital signs register as dormant. We can initiate revival protocols without risk." Velkin nodded curtly, dismissing any concerns. "Proceed." There is no reason to fear a single human. Their physiology is understood to deteriorate rapidly after stasis. They will be weak, disoriented, no threat to us. The laboratory chamber was sterile, bathed in cold blue luminescence. The pod's surface was etched with faint symbols, remnants of a language long extinct but still decipherable through Veridian linguistic matrices. Valrex initiated the thaw sequence, and the cryogenic fluid began to drain slowly, revealing a figure within, suspended in timeless slumber. Minutes passed in silence. The human stirred, eyelids fluttering open to reveal keen, alert eyes that scanned the chamber with rapid cognition. Velkin observed the awakening with a mixture of curiosity and impatience. He expected frailty, confusion, yet found none. The human sat upright, muscles taut and responsive. Valrex's scanners registered elevated metabolic rates, neural activity far beyond anticipated levels. "Commander," Valrex reported, "the subject's physiological markers indicate enhanced resilience. The extended cryosleep appears to have triggered adaptive cellular regeneration. This is unprecedented." Velkin frowned, the first ripple of doubt crossing his mind. "Prepare for interrogation. We must understand the extent of this anomaly." The human introduced himself as Brandon Sullivan, though his voice was rough from disuse. His mind, however, was sharp, processing the unfamiliar environment with rapid assimilation. Despite the temporal gulf, he grasped the Veridian language and technology within hours, a feat that defied previous assumptions of human cognitive limits. Vexma, the veteran officer assigned to security, observed Sullivan's physical prowess during a controlled endurance test. The human moved with fluid precision, demonstrating reflexes and strength that rivaled Veridian warriors conditioned since birth. Vexma reported his findings with a tone of reluctant respect. Velkin convened the ship's council, including Valma, the council leader, to discuss the implications. The consensus had been that humans, if encountered, would be relics of a lesser time, fragile, obsolete, and manageable. Now, the evidence demanded a re-evaluation. Valma's voice resonated with cautious authority. "We have underestimated the effects of suspended animation on human biology. This subject embodies a resilience that challenges our doctrines." Velkin's gaze hardened. "This changes nothing. We will continue our study, but maintain readiness. The humans may yet prove a threat. As the Veridian grappled with the revelation of human adaptability, the ancient occupant within the cryopod was no longer a relic. He was a catalyst, heralding a new chapter in galactic history where the underestimated species might rise to reshape the cosmic order. The Veridian cruiser Eslan drifted silently in orbit around a desolate exoplanet, its sensors probing the surface for any sign of biological activity or artifacts. Commander Velkin, seated in the command chair, regarded the readings with a mixture of impatience and curiosity. The Veridian had long dismissed humanity as a minor curiosity, primitive, unpredictable, and ultimately irrelevant in the grand calculus of galactic power. Yet the discovery of a hidden human facility beneath the planet's ice had forced a reconsideration. Valrex, the ship's chief scientist, had been insistent on investigating the ancient cryochamber buried deep within the ice. The chamber's biosignatures were faint, but unmistakable. A single human, preserved in suspended animation for centuries beyond any known human lifespan. Such a find was unprecedented, and Valrex was eager to awaken the subject for study. Velkin, for all his initial doubts, authorized the procedure, confident it would confirm their assumptions of human frailty. The sterile glow of the laboratory contrasted sharply with the ancient, frost-coated cryopod nestled in its center. Valrex's manipulator arms delicately interfaced with the pod's control panel, overriding the centuries-old safety protocols. The chamber hissed softly as the cryogenic suspension began to release, vapor clouding the air as the frozen human slowly reanimated. The subject's eyes fluttered open, revealing sharp irises that immediately assessed the surroundings with wary intelligence. The Veridian scientists anticipated confusion, weakness, or even mental degradation. Instead, the human sat upright with surprising agility, muscles fluid and responsive despite the prolonged stasis. Valrex exchanged a glance with Velkin, the unspoken realization dawning between them. This human was not diminished by time, but appeared enhanced, a paradox challenging their understanding of biology and cryogenic science. Vexma, the veteran soldier assigned for security, observed the human with a mix of skepticism and wariness. The subject's name was Lisa Chen, according to the fragmented records retrieved from the facility's database. Her demeanor was calm yet alert, a quiet resilience that contradicted the relic status they had expected. Valrex initiated a series of non-invasive tests to evaluate the human's cognitive and physical functions. The results were astonishing. Rapid synaptic activity, heightened reflexes, and an unusual adaptability to environmental stimuli. The human brain seemed to have undergone a form of neural plasticity during stasis, rewiring itself to optimize survival beyond the limits of normal human physiology. Velkin's initial dismissal of humans as fragile was challenged by this revelation. The centuries in suspended animation had not atrophied Lisa Chen's capabilities, but refined them. Her body, preserved and recalibrated by advanced human technology, had adapted to the extreme conditions of cryogenic sleep. The alien scientists debated the implications. Valma, the council leader, summoned a holographic briefing to discuss the strategic significance. If humans possessed such resilience and adaptability, they could represent an unpredictable variable in galactic affairs, one that could not be easily contained or controlled. Meanwhile, Lisa Chen's awareness expanded. Despite the alien environment and foreign technology, her instincts guided her through the disorienting transition. She analyzed the Veridian technology with a mixture of curiosity and caution, her mind rapidly assimilating data from the ship's systems. Her awakening triggered a cascade of questions about the past, the human civilization that had created the cryochamber, the circumstances that had led to her prolonged stasis, and the fate of her species. Though isolated and ancient, her presence was a living link to a human legacy that defied extinction. Valrex proposed extending the study to include more humans in stasis, hypothesizing that the species' adaptive potential was a product of evolutionary resilience combined with advanced biotechnological preservation. Velken, though hesitant, recognized the strategic necessity of understanding this new dimension of human capability. As Lisa Chen acclimated to her surroundings, she communicated through a universal translator, expressing a desire to cooperate, but asserting an unspoken strength that suggested she was more than a mere subject of study. Her presence unsettled the Veridian hierarchy, forcing them to reconsider their assumptions and prepare for a future where humans might no longer be sidelined, but central actors. The discovery of Lisa Chen marked a turning point. The Veridian had uncovered not a relic of a vanished species, but a living testament to human adaptability, an evolutionary enigma that would challenge their supremacy and reshape interstellar relations. In the cold expanse of space, beneath alien stars, the stage was set for an unprecedented encounter. The Veridian had met humanity not as conquerors, but as witnesses to a resilience that transcended time itself. The true nature of the human threat was only beginning to emerge. The cold stillness of the Veridian research vessel was broken only by the steady hum of life support systems and the soft hiss of cryogenic chambers maintaining their precious contents. Within one such chamber, nestled deep in the ship's bioscience wing, lay a figure sealed in translucent crystal. Velken, the Veridian commander, stood observing this artifact of a civilization long presumed extinct. The humans, they had concluded, were a curiosity at best, a primitive species whose remnants had drifted forgotten through the void. Valrex, the lead scientist, explained the chamber's function with clinical detachment. This was not merely preservation, but a stasis technology that halted biological processes without damage. The specimen inside, designated human subject H421, had been locked away for over 3 centuries. It was a relic of a bygone era, an ancient human whose genetic blueprint had once been catalogued in Veridian databanks. The Veridians had assumed such a specimen would be fragile, degraded by time, and biologically inferior to their own evolved forms. Yet, as Velken looked on, he allowed a rare curiosity to take root. The chamber's control panel blinked green, signaling readiness to initiate thawing protocols. Valrex's fingers danced over the console, initiating a slow, precise reversal of cryogenic suspension. The ice within the chamber began to dissolve, the frozen figure inside shifting imperceptibly. Vexma, veteran of countless skirmishes against less adaptable species, had scoffed at the notion of human threat. Humans were a primitive race, lacking the physiological resilience and mental acuity of Veridians, or even the more advanced galactic species they had encountered. Yet here they were, waking a relic, not for war, but for study. This was to be a controlled experiment, an exploration into the limits of human biology. As the ice melted away, the figure's chest rose with a slow, steady breath. The subject's eyelids fluttered open, revealing deep brown eyes that scanned the sterile chamber with alertness. The Veridian observers noted the rapid neural activity displayed on their monitors, brain waves indicating not confusion, but acute awareness. Velken's voice was calm, but edged with fascination. The subject did not merely awaken. He seemed to emerge with a vitality that defied expectations. Valrex's instruments recorded elevated metabolic rates and a heart rhythm that suggested extraordinary cardiovascular efficiency. The human, now conscious, was silent. His gaze moved from the cryochamber's interior to the faces of his watchers. To the Veridians, the moment was one of scientific triumph. To the human, it was a sudden immersion into a world unrecognizable and alien. Valrex approached with a device designed to assess cognitive function. The subject responded with immediate comprehension, interacting with the holographic interface without instruction. His neural plasticity was remarkable, absorbing unfamiliar symbols and commands with ease. Velkin considered the implications. 3 centuries of stasis had not dulled this human-s faculties. If anything, the prolonged metabolic suspension appeared to have preserved, perhaps even enhanced, his cognitive resilience. Vexma, ever skeptical, remarked on the subject's physical condition. The human's musculature was lean but well-defined. Despite age measured in centuries, the subject exhibited no signs of atrophy or deterioration. On the contrary, his reflexes, tested via rapid stimulus response trials, matched or exceeded those of Veridian warriors. The Veridian scientists delved deeper, running scans that revealed unusual telomere structures within the subject's DNA, indicators of cellular longevity and regenerative capacity. This was inconsistent with their prior understanding of human biology as fragile and limited. Over the following hours, the human, who identified himself through a rudimentary translation device as Brandon Sullivan, demonstrated an adaptability that confounded the Veridians. He absorbed their language and technology, recalibrated unfamiliar equipment with intuitive understanding, and anticipated outcomes in complex problem-solving simulations. Velkin observed a spark of something beyond mere survival instinct, a will to master the environment, to persist and thrive despite adversity. The human's adaptability was not passive but aggressive, a dynamic force that challenged the Veridians' assumptions of superiority. In a private discussion, Valrex voiced his growing astonishment. The centuries-long suspension, once thought to be a mere preservation, might have acted as a catalyst, an evolutionary crucible that refined human capabilities. The subject's neural networks exhibited patterns akin to enhanced synaptic plasticity, enabling rapid learning and memory retention. Vexma, though less convinced, could not deny the empirical data. His own experience fighting against various species had taught him to respect adaptability. Yet humans, he conceded, possessed an unpredictability that was both intriguing and unsettling. Velkin's strategic mind raced. If a single ancient human could exhibit such resilience, what of their descendants, newly awakened across the galaxy? The Veridians' initial dismissal of humans as a threat required urgent reassessment. The humans' behavior further defied expectations when confronted with the ship's artificial environment. Rather than displaying disorientation or dependence, Brandon Sullivan actively sought to interface with the vessel's systems. His hands moved confidently over control panels, his understanding of technology suggesting a level of familiarity that transcended his historical origin. Valrex surmised that the human's extended stasis might have preserved not only his physical form, but also a latent cognitive potential, an ability to integrate and adapt to new technological paradigms rapidly. This was a trait the Veridians had underestimated in their assessments of human evolution. During one observation, the subject was presented with a simulated emergency scenario, a rapid decompression event within the vessel. While the Veridian crew responded with practiced efficiency, Sullivan's reactions were remarkable. He quickly identified the system failures, proposed contingency measures, and initiated protocols that mitigated damage beyond standard procedures. Velkin noted in his report that the human's instinctual problem-solving combined with an intuitive grasp of technology was a form of adaptability that transcended algorithmic prediction. This suggested a flexible intelligence shaped by survival in unpredictable environments. Valma, the council leader, was briefed on these developments. Initially skeptical, he expressed concern about the broader implications. The Veridians' technological and biological superiority might be challenged not by brute force, but by this elusive human adaptability. The Council debated the strategic risks of awakening more humans from cryogenic sleep. Valrex advocated for cautious expansion of the program, arguing that understanding human capabilities could yield valuable insights into resilience and adaptability. Vexma warned of underestimating a species that had survived millennia of galactic upheaval by sheer tenacity. Velken, balancing caution with curiosity, authorized the awakening of additional human subjects. This decision marked a turning point, a recognition that the humans were no longer relics, but potential agents of change. In the ensuing days, the Veridian research vessel became a crucible for discovery. Each human awakened exhibited a spectrum of enhanced capabilities, heightened neurocognitive function, accelerated learning curves, and physical endurance that defied their apparent age. One subject, Tyler Kim, a young soldier, demonstrated an uncanny ability to adapt combat tactics on the fly, integrating alien technologies with human ingenuity. Another, Elena Webb, a medic, showcased rapid diagnostic skills and innovative medical interventions that saved crew members from conditions previously deemed untreatable. The humans' capacity for teamwork and improvisation amidst unfamiliar circumstances further challenged Veridian preconceptions. They did not merely react, they anticipated, innovated, and led. Velkin reflected on the irony that those once dismissed as extinct primitives now outpaced their captors in adaptability and resolve. The Veridians were witnessing not the decline of humanity, but the emergence of a new paradigm of survival. Yet, the humans remained enigmatic. Their motivations were complex, shaped by millennia of adversity and a fierce will to endure. They did not seek conquest, but coexistence, though their formidable adaptability suggested they could defend themselves, and others, with unparalleled tenacity. As the Veridian ship continued its journey through the void, the ancient humans awoke not just from cryogenic sleep, but from obscurity. Their presence heralded a profound shift in galactic dynamics, one that would challenge the Veridians to reconsider their place among the stars. Velkin stood before the observation window, watching the stars blur past. In the depths of space, the encounter with humanity was only beginning, a testament to the indomitable spirit of a species forged by time, suspended yet unyielding, ready to reclaim its destiny among the cosmos. The sterile hum of the Veridian research facility aboard the orbiting station Epsilon 9 was punctuated only by the steady rhythms of machinery and distant echoes of the cosmic void. Within the cryogenic chamber array, Velkin, the Veridian commander, observed the large cylindrical pod housing the ancient human. The vessel's exterior bore the faded insignia of the Earth Coalition, a civilization long thought extinct after centuries of galactic conflict and internal collapse. Valrex, the lead scientist, meticulously adjusted the parameters for thawing the subject. The plan was straightforward: awaken the human, monitor his physiological responses, and catalog any anomalies. If this individual held secrets to humanity's resilience, the Veridians would uncover them. The pod's outer shell began to hiss, releasing a mist as the cryogenic suspension field dissipated. Inside, the figure slowly stirred. The ancient human, branded only as Subject H-274, opened his eyes, revealing irises that gleamed with latent vitality despite the centuries of stasis. Valrex noted the immediate spike in metabolic activity. At first, the data suggested the human was fragile, vulnerable after prolonged suspended animation. Yet as the minutes passed, the subject's vital signs stabilized with an unexpected robustness. "Commander Velkin," Valrex reported, "the subject's heart rate normalized far quicker than our models anticipated. His neural activity suggests heightened cognitive function. This contradicts all prior assumptions regarding extended cryogenic stasis." Velkin's eyes narrowed. The Veridians had considered humanity a relic, their technology archaic, their biology fragile in the unforgiving expanse of space. This subject threatened that narrative. The human stirred fully, sitting upright with a fluidity that belied the centuries he had spent inert. He scanned his surroundings quickly, eyes sharp and unclouded. There was no sign of confusion or disorientation, only a calculated appraisal of his captors and environment. Valrex approached cautiously, initiating communication protocols. The human's vocalization was initially rough, a muted cadence as he acclimated to the station's atmospheric conditions. Yet within moments, his voice carried clarity and authority. The scientist relayed the human's first words, which revealed a mind attuned to survival and adaptation. The subject identified himself as Captain Marcus Hale, a member of an ancient Earth expeditionary force. Velkin had anticipated frailty. Instead, he confronted a relic of a bygone era who seemed more formidable than any contemporary enemy. Days passed as the Veridians subjected Captain Hale to a battery of tests: physical endurance trials, cognitive puzzles, and neural adaptability assessments. Each evaluation yielded results that unsettled the alien scientists. The human's muscle density was extraordinary, his reflexes finely tuned despite centuries of stasis. His brain exhibited plasticity, rapidly assimilating the Veridian's language and scientific principles. Valrex hypothesized that human biology possessed an inherent mechanism, enabling them to not only survive extended suspended animation, but also to emerge from it with enhanced capabilities. This contradicted Veridian biological paradigms, which posited that stasis degraded mental and physical faculties irreparably. Velkin convened with Vexma, a veteran specializing in xenobiological warfare. The veteran's initial skepticism gave way to fascination as he reviewed the data. Vexma surmised that the human's evolutionary trajectory might be fundamentally different, shaped by millennia of planetary challenges and rapid environmental shifts. The Veridians, who prided themselves on their calculated precision and methodical progression, now confronted the unpredictability of human adaptability, a trait they had underestimated profoundly. An unexpected incident during a physical simulation underscored this revelation. The human was tasked with navigating a zero-gravity obstacle course designed to test spatial awareness and motor coordination. Despite the complexity and unfamiliarity, Captain Hale completed the course flawlessly, even compensating for simulated environmental hazards that the Veridians had not anticipated. Velkin observed the subject's performance with growing unease. The human's ability to intuitively adapt to novel situations without prior exposure challenged fundamental Veridian assumptions about learning curves and neurological capacity. Valrex initiated a neurological scan to probe deeper. The imaging revealed elevated synaptic connectivity and an unusual abundance of neuroplastic markers. The human brain appeared pre-wired for rapid adaptation and problem-solving, a stark contrast to the Veridian's more rigid cognitive architecture. Vexma, reflecting on the implications, noted that such adaptability could confer an overwhelming advantage in both exploration and conflict. The human's capacity to learn, adjust, and innovate on the fly made them unpredictable opponents. Conversations among the Veridian leadership grew tense. Velkin advocated for caution, recognizing that underestimating humanity could jeopardize their strategic interests. Valma, the council leader, expressed concerns about the precedent this discovery set for galactic power dynamics. Amidst this, the human captain remained stoic, revealing little of his past, but demonstrating a keen understanding of the situation. He accepted the Veridian's scientific scrutiny with a calm resilience, subtly asserting his presence as more than a mere specimen. The turning point came during an unscheduled system emergency on Epsilon 9. A critical power failure threatened to destabilize the station's life support systems. The Veridian engineers scrambled to contain the crisis, but their efforts were hindered by unfamiliarity with human engineering principles embedded within the station's legacy systems, remnants of the ancient Earth technology integrated into the station's core. Captain Hale volunteered to assist, navigating the archaic interface with an ease that astonished the Veridians. His knowledge of obsolete Earth tech allowed him to identify fault points and implement improvised repairs, stabilizing the systems before irreversible damage occurred. This act shifted perceptions irrevocably. The human's resourcefulness and technical acumen, honed through centuries of survival and adaptation, challenged the Veridian's conception of superiority. Velkin admitted that humanity's resilience was not a relic, but a living legacy, a testament to their evolutionary ingenuity. In the aftermath, the Veridian Council convened to reassess their stance on humanity. Valmer acknowledged the need to reevaluate alliances and galactic strategy in light of the human capacity for adaptation and survival. The ancient human, once considered a curiosity, now stood as a symbol of enduring strength, an embodiment of a species whose potential was far greater than previously imagined. The day the Veridian met human adaptability marked the beginning of a new epoch in galactic relations, where humans emerged not as relics, but as protectors and pioneers of a shared cosmic future. The Veridian starship Cerulean Dawn drifted silently above the shifting ice plains of Gliese, 581 G. Its scanners had detected an anomalous heat signature buried deep beneath a glacier, a relic of a long-lost human expedition. Commander Velkin had dismissed it initially, convinced the humans were relics of a bygone era, their technology primitive and their biology fragile. Yet curiosity prevailed. Valrex, the ship's lead scientist, insisted on investigation, driven by a scientific zeal that bordered on obsession. The excavation was delicate. The Veridian recovery team, clad in exosuits tailored for the bitter cold, uncovered a cylindrical cryogenic pod embedded in the ice, its surface scarred but intact. Within lay a human male, his form unyielding, suspended in a state of perfect stasis. The pod's inscriptions, faint but discernible, identified him only as subject H472. Valrex oversaw the revival protocols with an intensity that bordered on reverence. The cryo-chamber hissed and steamed as ancient systems roared to life. Sensors monitored the subject's vitals, heart rate, neural activity, metabolic processes, all registering with an alarming stability. The human's eyes flickered open, revealing a spark of awareness that seemed to pierce through the sterile chamber walls. Velkin watched, arms crossed, skepticism etched across his angular face. The humans were supposed to be delicate, their biology incapable of withstanding centuries of suspended animation without degradation. Yet here lay a living paradox. The subject, disoriented but lucid, assessed his surroundings with rapid cognition. Valrex initiated a communication protocol, transmitting basic queries in human linguistic patterns reconstructed from recovered data. The human responded with fragmented phrases at first, then coherent sentences, revealing a mind sharpened by isolation but unbroken. What stunned the Veridians was not merely the survival, but the enhanced physiological indicators. The human's muscle density, neural synapse activity, and metabolic efficiency exceeded known baselines for active humans. Valrex hypothesized that the prolonged cryostasis had induced adaptive biological optimizations, mechanisms evolved to preserve and enhance viability under extreme temporal suspension. Velkin's initial dismissal began to waver as the data poured in. The veteran Vexma, a hardened soldier with decades of combat experience, observed quietly, his keen instincts sensing a profound shift in their understanding of humanity. The human, whom they came to call Elder H, recounted fragmented memories of a distant era, a time when humanity teetered on the brink of self-destruction, only to embrace cryogenic preservation as a means to endure. He spoke of resilience born not from strength alone, but from an indomitable will to survive and adapt beyond conceivable limits. Valrex's experiments grew more invasive, probing neural plasticity and muscle regeneration pathways. The human's body responded with accelerated healing and cognitive recalibration. The cryogenic sleep had not merely preserved his body, it had triggered latent capabilities, unlocking a form of biological plasticity that defied Veridian scientific paradigms. The alien crew grappled with the implications. Their own species evolved over millennia with incremental adaptations, yet the human's capacity for rapid and profound physiological transformation challenged their core assumptions about life and survival. Velkin convened a council meeting aboard the Cerulean Dawn. The council leader Valma, a figure of austere wisdom, listened intently as Valrex detailed the findings. The revelation unsettled the Veridian hierarchy. The humans were not relics, but a species continuously evolving in unpredictable ways. Vexma voiced a rare note of caution. The human's capabilities suggested potential for both extraordinary resilience and unforeseen threat. Velkin, however, saw in Elder H's story a mirror of Veridian ambition, a relentless drive to endure and transcend limits. As the human adapted to the artificial environment of the ship, he began demonstrating behaviors that puzzled the crew: instinctive problem-solving, rapid learning, and a capacity for emotional expression that transcended mere survival. The Veridians had never encountered such a combination of physical adaptability and psychological complexity. Valrex posited that the human mind's plasticity was a survival mechanism honed over eons of environmental flux, social upheaval, and technological revolution. The cryogenic sleep was a crucible that distilled and enhanced these traits, producing a specimen that embodied humanity's ultimate evolutionary strategy, adaptability through transformation. The Veridians' perception shifted fundamentally. They recognized that humans were not static entities bound by biological limits, but dynamic beings capable of extraordinary metamorphosis. Elder H's existence was a testament to the species' capacity to endure the ravages of time and emerge stronger. Velkin contemplated the broader implications. If one human could manifest such capabilities after centuries of stasis, what of the species as a whole? The human's unpredictable evolution challenged the Veridians' assumptions about galactic hierarchy and power dynamics. The revelation demanded a new approach, one that embraced the humans not as threats to be eradicated or curiosities to be studied, but as potential allies and protectors of a fragile cosmic order. The Veridians began to envision a future where human adaptability could serve as a bulwark against existential threats that no single species could face alone. Elder H, once a silent relic of a forgotten age, became a bridge between past and future. His revival illuminated the profound depths of human potential and catalyzed a transformation in Veridian consciousness, a deeper understanding that survival was not merely a matter of strength or technology, but of the unyielding capacity to change, evolve, and endure. In the cold void of space, beneath the watchful sensors of the cerulean dawn, the ancient humans' awakening marked the dawn of a new epoch, one where the Veridians and humans would forge a shared destiny shaped by adaptability, resilience, and the indomitable spirit of life itself. The Veridian research vessel Sithra V drifted silently in orbit around the shattered remains of a cold, forgotten human colony world. Its sensors had detected a faint energy signature deep beneath the ice-covered surface, a signature unlike any known to Veridian science, yet undeniably artificial. Commander Velkin had dismissed the initial reports as relics of primitive human technology, remnants of a species long thought incapable of meaningful resistance or adaptation. Yet, curiosity and duty compelled the Veridian scientist Valrex to authorize a descent. Below the frozen crust, the retrieval team unearthed a tomb of gleaming metal, a cryogenic pod, insulated against millennia. The pod's surface bore markings in a human script, faded but legible, identifying its occupant as a preserved subject. Valrex's team initiated a controlled defrosting sequence, expecting fragile organic remains to crumble under centuries of stasis. Instead, the pod hissed open, revealing a man whose chest rose with steady, strong breaths, human, yet enigmatic. The subject's skin was pale but unblemished, his eyes closed in deep repose. His name, Lisa Chen discovered in the pod's data logs, was but a fragment of an error lost to time. The Veridians meticulously monitored his vital signs, noting heart rate, neural activity, and biochemical markers. Rather than deterioration, the readings suggested a metabolic stasis that preserved cellular integrity, enhanced by adaptive nanostructures embedded within the cryopod's walls, technology far surpassing Veridian cryonics. Velkin's initial skepticism hardened when the subject's neural scans revealed a mind both dormant and alert, capable of rapid cognitive processing upon awakening. Valrex observed the phenomenon with growing fascination. It was as if the centuries in suspended animation had not dulled, but sharpened the human's mental faculties. When the subject finally opened his eyes, a spark of awareness ignited. The Veridian team observed his gaze, bright, calculating, and unafraid. Velkin approached, his voice modulated to convey authority and caution. The human responded not with words, but with a measured, steady breath, signaling comprehension. Communication protocols were initiated, with Valrex translating human language patterns based on archived data. The subject identified himself as Brandon Sullivan, a soldier from a forgotten era, awakened not by choice, but by the imperative of survival. His voice was steady, imbued with a quiet confidence that unsettled the Veridian observers. They expected frailty, confusion, perhaps fear. Instead, they found resilience. Valrex conducted cognitive assessments, presenting complex problem-solving scenarios and tactical simulations. Brandon's responses were immediate and precise, often surpassing the predictive models established for Veridian intellect. The veteran, Vexma, noted with growing unease that the human displayed an innate capacity for adaptation, rapid learning, improvisation, and strategic innovation that defied Veridian military doctrine. One simulation involved the maneuvering of a starfighter through a hostile asteroid field, requiring split-second decisions and pattern recognition. Brandon's neural response times exceeded those of elite Veridian pilots by a margin that suggested evolutionary divergence. Velkin conferred quietly with Valrex and Vexma. Their assessment challenged long-held assumptions about humanity's place in the interstellar hierarchy. The notion of humans as obsolete, static, or inferior was unraveling before their eyes. The paradigm was shifting. Brandon's explanations of his time in stasis revealed the key. Centuries of suspended animation had not only preserved his physiology, but had induced an emergent state of heightened neural plasticity. His brain, freed from the distractions of sensory input and environmental stress, had undergone a form of adaptive recalibration. This phenomenon allowed him to assimilate new information, languages, and tactical frameworks at an unprecedented rate. Valrex hypothesized that the cryopod's nanostructures interacted with Brandon's neural pathways, inducing synaptic growth and enhancing cognitive flexibility. The implications were staggering. If humans could harness suspended animation not as a passive sleep, but as an active evolutionary tool, the potential for adaptation would dwarf that of any species in the known galaxy. Vexma's skepticism waned as he observed Brandon perform physical tasks with ease. Muscle memory retained despite centuries of inactivity. Reflexes quickened rather than dulled. The veteran's own experience in combat could not account for the human's rapid recovery and precise coordination. Velkin's voice, once laced with condescension, now bore a tone of cautious respect. He acknowledged that their understanding of humanity had been incomplete, filtered through bias and outdated data. This human was not a relic to be studied and discarded, but a living testament to the species' indomitable adaptability. The crew's interactions with Brandon deepened their appreciation of human tenacity. He spoke of endurance in the face of despair, of survival against insurmountable odds, and of an intrinsic drive to protect and rebuild. These were not abstract concepts, but lived realities etched into his very being. Valma, the council leader, received detailed reports from Velkin and Valrex. The revelation of Brandon's capabilities sparked a heated debate within the Veridian High Council. Some argued for containment and further study, wary of the unknown implications. Others recognized that humanity's unique evolutionary trajectory could be a vital asset in the turbulent galactic landscape. The Council's deliberations were interrupted by an emergency. A nearby human expeditionary fleet led by Commander Lisa Chen herself, had entered Veridian space. Their intentions were unclear, but their presence was undeniable. Velkin prepared Sithra V for contact, aware that the encounter would redefine Veridian-human relations. He briefed Brandon, whose insights into human command structures and tactics proved invaluable. Brandon's analysis revealed a human doctrine centered on adaptability and decentralized decision-making, qualities that enabled rapid response to evolving threats. This contrasted sharply with Veridian hierarchical rigidity, which often hampered flexibility. As the human fleet approached, Velkin recognized that the Veridian species faced a new reality. Humanity was not merely a relic of the past, but a catalyst for transformation. Their ancient soldier embodied a paradigm shift that challenged Veridian supremacy and heralded a future where survival depended on openness to change. The meeting of these starfaring civilizations, once marked by skepticism and underestimation, now shimmered with the promise of alliance forged through mutual respect and shared destiny. The day Veridian met human adaptability was the day the galaxy's balance began to tilt. The Veridian starship Javrek drifted silently through the shadowed expanse of the derelict space station, a relic from a forgotten war that had scarred the outskirts of the Lyra system centuries ago. Commander Velkin stood at the observation deck, eyes narrowing as the ghostly hull loomed outside, its surface pocked and scarred, yet intact enough to suggest secrets preserved within. The Veridian had dismissed the humans as primitive, their starfaring civilization considered crude and lacking the finesse of Veridian technology. But the data from this station whispered otherwise. Scientist Valrex, his multifaceted eyes gleaming with anticipation, directed the retrieval team into the chamber where a single cryogenic pod lay undisturbed. The pod's design was unfamiliar, organic curves, and a faint pulse of light marking its life-sustaining systems. They had expected to find only empty shells or decomposed remains, but this was different. This was living history. As the hatch hissed open, a faint cloud of condensation drifted into the sterile chamber air. Inside, encased in translucent gel, was a man, his features peaceful, yet marked by the lines of hardship and determination. The Veridian team had never encountered a human in cryostasis before. The rookie, Tyler Kim, marveled silently at the artifact, unaware that the man inside would soon challenge everything they thought they knew. Valrex initiated the reanimation sequence with meticulous care, monitoring cellular regeneration and neural activity. The pod systems hummed steadily, maintaining the delicate balance between suspended animation and revival. Minutes stretched like hours as the man's vitals stabilized. Finally, his eyes fluttered open, sharp, alert, and burning with a fierce intelligence. They named him Brandon Sullivan, a soldier from a long-forgotten era, awakened into a universe vastly changed. Yet the moment Brandon's gaze met Velkin's, a current of understanding passed unspoken between species. This was no relic to be studied and forgotten. He was a living testament to human resilience. The Veridian's veteran Vexma observed Brandon's movements with increasing unease. The man's muscles, though dormant for centuries, responded with a fluidity that defied their expectations. His reflexes were honed, his cognition rapid. The cryogenic sleep had not dulled him, it had refined him. Valrex conducted rigorous tests, measuring neural plasticity, muscle fiber density, and metabolic efficiency. Each result confounded the Veridian scientific paradigms. The human's brainwaves exhibited adaptability patterns unseen in any other species, even their own. His body, in its suspended state, had undergone a form of biological optimization, preserving and perhaps enhancing his physical and mental faculties. Velkin, initially skeptical, found himself drawn into a new kind of respect. This was not the feeble human the Veridian had dismissed. This was a warrior, adapted for survival beyond the limits of time and space. In the sterile confines of the medical bay, Brandon's first words were sparse, but purposeful. He spoke of duty, of perseverance, of a promise to protect those who could not protect themselves. Though the Veridian did not fully comprehend the nuances of human honor, the conviction in his voice resonated deeply. Tyler, the rookie, witnessed something extraordinary, the human's capacity for rapid learning. Within hours, Brandon assimilated the complexities of Veridian technology, navigation systems, and combat protocols. His mind worked like a finely tuned instrument, integrating alien knowledge with innate human ingenuity. Valma, the council leader, convened an emergency session. The revelation of Brandon's capabilities demanded a reevaluation of the human's place in the galactic hierarchy. The ancient disdain for humanity was challenged by undeniable evidence. Humans were not only survivors, but evolved adapters, capable of thriving where others faltered. The council debated fiercely. Velkin argued for cautious alliance, recognizing the strategic advantage of human adaptability. Vexma voiced concerns about unpredictability, fearing that such resilience might mask deeper, uncontrollable instincts. Valrex advocated for deeper study, proposing joint initiatives to unlock the secrets of human biology. Meanwhile, Brandon trained alongside Veridian soldiers, demonstrating combat techniques that blended instinct with calculated precision. His presence inspired the crew, bridging divides between species with unspoken camaraderie. One evening, as the Javrek orbited a vibrant blue planet, Brandon requested a private audience with Velkin. He conveyed a vision not through words, but through shared experience, simulated battle scenarios, survival challenges, and moral dilemmas. Through these, Velkin glimpsed the depth of human adaptability, not merely physical but ethical and psychological. The Veridian commander realized that humanity's strength lay not just in individual prowess, but in their collective spirit, their ability to adapt, to overcome, and to protect others even at great personal cost. The ancient prejudices dissolved in the face of this profound new understanding. In the weeks that followed, humans and Veridian forged a partnership unprecedented in galactic history. They shared technology, strategies, and philosophies. The humans' cryogenic endurance and rapid adaptability became invaluable assets in exploration and defense missions. As the Javrek embarked on its next journey, a new chapter unfolded, a chapter defined by respect, cooperation, and the recognition that humanity's greatest power was its enduring spirit, awakened anew after centuries, ready to shape the cosmos alongside the Veridian. The Veridian starship Serathis drifted silently through the void, its sensors locked on the ancient cryogenic pod nestled deep within the derelict human vessel. Velkin, the Veridian commander, observed with uncharacteristic unease. The pod's faint energy signature was a whisper against the backdrop of space, yet it pulsed with a vitality the Veridian had not anticipated. Valrex, the ship's chief scientist, prepared the revival protocols with meticulous precision, her compound eyes reflecting the sterile glow of the cryochamber. The pod's walls hissed open, releasing a mist that swirled like a spectral fog. Within, a man emerged, gaunt but resolute, his eyes sharp even after centuries in suspended animation. The Veridian studied him, expecting frailty, degradation of muscle and mind. Instead, they saw an ancient human, preserved and somehow invigorated by his long slumber. Valrex approached cautiously, analyzing the man's biosigns. His cells exhibited remarkable regeneration markers, metabolic rhythms far surpassing expected decay timelines. The centuries of stasis had not dulled his faculties, they had honed them. Velkin's initial dismissal of humanity as primitive and fragile was unraveling before him. The human's name was Marcus Hale, a soldier from a bygone era, awoken not by choice, but by the necessity of Veridian curiosity. His first moments post-thaw were disorienting, but his instincts ignited swiftly. He adapted to the alien environment with a fluid grace, scanning the starship's interior with keen awareness, memorizing layouts, and calibrating his senses to the unfamiliar technology. When Valrex attempted medical examination, Marcus complied without resistance, though his gaze never lost its intensity. His mental acuity was evident in his rapid assimilation of Veridian language patterns and technology schematics. He absorbed data streams with a voracious appetite, reconstructing his context from fragmented logs and star charts. Vexma, the Veridian veteran, observed Marcus with a mixture of respect and caution. The human's resolve was unlike that of any warrior he had encountered. There was no arrogance, only a quiet confidence born of survival against impossible odds. Velkin considered the implications. Here was a being who had transcended time itself, whose human biology had been tempered by the crucible of suspended animation. If centuries in stasis could enhance a soldier's capabilities, what did that mean for the living human population? The Veridian Council, led by Valma, convened urgently. The revelation challenged every preconception about humanity. Marcus's presence was proof that humans possessed a resilience and adaptability that defied the Veridians' advanced scientific paradigms. Marcus, though from another era, represented a bridge between worlds. He embodied the human spirit's capacity to endure and evolve, traits that could not be quantified by mere biological metrics. The Council debated whether to integrate humans as allies or consider them unpredictable threats. Velkin argued for caution, acknowledging that underestimating humans had been a costly error. Valrex advocated for collaboration, intrigued by the potential scientific advancements. In a decisive moment, Marcus expressed his intent, not through words, but through action. During a simulation of a hostile encounter, he maneuvered with tactical ingenuity that blended ancient combat training and modern strategic innovation. His adaptability was not just physical, but cognitive, seamlessly synthesizing disparate information into effective responses. The Veridians witnessed a living testament to human ingenuity, a species that thrived not despite adversity, but because of it. Recognizing the mutual benefits, the Council extended an offer of alliance. Humans would share their unique adaptability and experience, while the Veridians would offer technological advancements and protection. For the first time, Velkin felt a genuine respect for humanity, not as a primitive race to be subdued, but as equals worthy of partnership. Marcus Hale, the ancient soldier, became a symbol of this new era. His awakening catalyzed a galactic paradigm shift, forging a path toward unity and shared destiny among the stars.